Greetings. We continue today the pictures of doom, the angels in the book of Jude. Today we want to begin to look at the angels who illustrate the departing act of apostasy, abandoned their own habitation. Even so, angels, this is Jude 6, they kept not the beginning, their original place of power, according to Robertson on page 188 of themselves, rather abandoned, to left behind or forsook, again Robertson, their own habitation or dwelling place, or continuing place, again Robertson. He has kept unto condemnation an act of judgment of the great day to everlasting bonds under darkness. Now, we need to look closely at the grammatical things that are going on here. The subject of the sentence is he, and the antecedent for he is the Lord from verse 5. The verb in the sentence is has kept, which is a present active indicative third person singular, describing the action by the subject. It's something God is doing. God is keeping these angels. This action is viewed as complete at present time and continuing by the result of repeated action. The object of the verb is the word angels, which appears without the definite article. We call that anarthrous, emphasizing the character or essence of the beings without identifying specific angels. Then we find two modifiers for the word angel. The first is a participle phrase, they kept not their first estate. The second participle phrase, abandoned their own habitation. This further explains, by contrast, how they kept not their first estate, being joined by the conjunction but. Next, we find in this sentence a prepositional phrase, under condemnation of the great day to everlasting bonds under darkness. This prepositional phrase is used adverbially, modifying the verb has kept. Finally, we find the reflexive pronoun their, or of themselves. This emphasizes the personal action of these angels. So we take the contextual overview. The emphasis of Jude 6 is on God's judgment of sin. That's the examples we're studying, Israel, then angels. God has kept the angels who sinned unto judgment. Number two, under the angels who illustrate the departing act of apostasy, abandon their own habitation, which is verified in 2 Peter 2:4 when it says, "For if God spared not, having sinned angels, but having cast down to hell, he gave over being kept unto judgment." Now, if we do the same grammatical look at 2 Peter 2:4, the subject is God. We find two compound verbs. One, he spared not. Two, he gave over. He spared not is further modified by the participle phrase, having cast down to hell. The authorized version renders it so, and this phrase is only found here in the New Testament, rendered pits of darkness. The second thing it says God did is he gave over. Both of these verbs are aorist actives, emphasizing an action which God did at some point. And grammatically speaking, if the theory of cohabitation were true, with the companion teaching that those angels guilty of this crime were locked up and kept locked up even to this present day, then we would find the perfect tense here and not the aorist tense. The object of the verb spared not is the word angels. Angels is further modified by the participle phrase having sinned, which is used as an adjective. Thus, God spared not having sinned angels. The object of the verb gave over is the prepositional phrase unto judgment, further modified by the participle phrase being kept. So, four things that happened at a point. God spared not. That's a fact. having sinned angels, a participle describing the angels. He gave over, a fact, having been cast down, describing the angels, and one present passive, being kept. Present is continuous and repeated action as viewed from present time. Passive is the subject here, the angels receiving, being acted upon. Thus, the present state of the having sinned angels is determined by what God did at a point in response to what they did at a point. These angels are being kept in the present tense, which stresses God's continuing authority over them. And being kept is a legal term. It's best understood by our phrase, being bound over for sentencing in our legal system. The subject has already been found guilty of the crime. The subject then is given over to an authority to be held until the actual sentencing is given and the subsequent sentence is served.